What is up, studs, and welcome to Ask MandR episode 362, the series where I answer your questions. On this one, we'll be discussing more about the Tiny Tank, the potential end of LEGO Star Wars Army building, some 2026 rumor talk, and if you stay to the very end, I'll give you a preview of my new house tour. If you guys have a question or topic for next episode, of course, drop in the comment section below. And before we get into viewer questions, I got a couple very important housekeeping things to talk about. First off, I'm doing a fan meetup at Orlando Brick Co. This is going to be Saturday, July 26th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's a long time, so basically going to be there all day. I'm also going to be joined there by former LEGO Star Wars designer Nathan Clark. You don't get the opportunity to meet LEGO Star Wars designers often, so if you are in the area, definitely take advantage of that. And I'm going to be bringing all of the LEGO Star Wars Summer 2025 sets I have, so if you wanted an early in-hand look at a bunch of the sets, I'll have them all on hand at Orlando Brick Co. Again, that's Saturday, July 26th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's free. You don't have to pay anything to meet us or do anything. It's completely free, so just come say hi. The other huge announcement is for Whatnot, where this weekend for San Diego Comic-Con, I'm going to be giving away over $2,500 worth of LEGO Star Wars stuff. We've got two streams where I'm giving away a UCS vendor at the end of each of them. First, Friday, July 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then second, Sunday, July 27th at noon Eastern. So it's going to be amazing with tons of minifigs starting at $1 each on auction, and of course, giving away tons more LEGO Star Wars sets on top of a UCS vendor in each stream. But here we have our first viewer question from Maxis, who says, try comparing the battle bus to the turbo tank for value when you get it. So let's do that. We have the 954-piece battle bus for $100 versus the 813-piece turbo tank for $160. And yeah, the turbo tank is a little bit girthier, I'd say, than the battle bus. It obviously has a lot more empty space on the bottom, so you got to consider that. And a lot of the battle bus's stuff is for the balloon. Like, those are really big pieces for the set, right? So I would almost call the builds a wash as far as their size. I would weigh them, but I don't have my scale. Let me just pick them up. Yeah, it feels about the same, I'd say. Certainly doesn't feel like 60% more weight on the right, and I think I would know if it was. And then as far as minifigs go, we've got 9 unique minifigs in the battle bus, and then 5 minifigs and 3 battle droids for the turbo tank. In the battle bus, we've got a fig with arm printing, and funny enough, that little hairy arm print should have been the equivalent of like a smooth dark red print on Bakara. They should have had that. They also have dual molded legs, which the Galactic Marines could have really benefited from. Really only one fig has dual molded legs, but like, look at how much better and more numerous the figures are in the battle bus. And what's crazy too, you have enough figures in your battle bus to actually fill every seat in the battle bus. You do not have enough figures in your turbo tank to fill every seat in the turbo tank. You can only fill the 5 seats that are here, and then there's a seat in the front, this spot up here, another turret position, and then another seat in there. So they really needed 4 more minifigs in the turbo tank, which ironically would have been 9. Get rid of the 3 battle droids, which are a dime a dozen. They're just fake value to make people think they're getting 8 minifigs when it's literally, that costs LEGO nothing, and it's just pretend. It's nice, of course, to get unique molds for the clone troopers, but it's kind of night and day when you look across themes like this. The effort put in, the value you get, just night and day. SS Trunks 2012 says, will you try an alt build for the Tiny Tank? If so, you should try out Brick Horizons UTAT on Rebrickable. And I think it's inevitable that I'm going to try out a UTAT rebuild, and his looks pretty good. Unfortunately, anything like that is very much constrained by the pieces that exist within the original set. So it is a decent looking UTAT for what you could make out of the parts of a turbo tank, but it doesn't fill that void in my heart for what an official LEGO UTAT could look like, you know what I mean? But it's still really cool to see how creative some of these alternate builds are. There's another one that I'm really dying to try, probably even more than this, and it's of Palpatine's office as well as the Senate where Yoda and Palpatine fight. I gotta build that one. I gotta build both. So I kind of want to do a video where I have them both built at the same time, which means I need to get another turbo tank to do that. Or I can just build one, take it apart, build another one. I don't know what the better way to do the video is. But either way, once I finish the reviews, the comparisons, and the wave overview for all of the summer sets, which I hope to have done by August 1st, the alt builds will follow shortly thereafter. So some crazy stuff, though, that I see people do. And this set's not even out yet. We've got 2 amazing alt builds. Isn't that even crazier? Anyway, next from Cobalt, he says, what is the best valued LEGO set this summer? And I think of the August 1st lineup, K2SO is pretty clearly the most fairly priced set. It is the one that didn't get a price increase, I think, too. It was $90 the whole time because they put it up before any of that happened, and then they never changed it, I'm pretty sure. So $90 on that one compared to a lot of the other ones feels like a bargain. You could also argue sets like Jango Fett Slave 1, because it's 10 cents per piece, is a good value, because people, whenever the price per piece is bad, people are like, well, that's horrible, that's a bad value. But I always find it interesting whenever a good price per piece like Jango Fett's comes along, people just still say it's overpriced anyway, because it probably is, and price per masterpiece is a bad measure of value, but I always find it ironic that people use it as a measure of value only when it's bad. Anyway, I have to go K2SO, and it's probably not even close there. The Awesome Brick says, do you watch other people's reviews before you make your own? And if so, who do you watch? Well, with one recent exception where I did a live stream reacting to a bunch of summer 2025 set reviews with Life Bricks and Jedi Stone, the answer is pretty firmly no. I do not seek out to watch other, like, especially ambassador reviews. I'm just wholly uninterested in seeing that. It's also a time equation where, like, I'm spending so much time making my own videos and making my own content that I don't have time to watch a bunch of other reviewers review the same sets that I'm going to review. And ideally, I want my review to, like, reflect solely what I think about the set, so I don't want someone else's thing to be in the back of my head while I'm making my review. And then in the free time that I do have, where I'm not, like, making videos or worrying about doing stuff for MandR shop or whatnot, I do enjoy doing other things that aren't Lego videos. So, like, going to the gym to lift, like, I'm not going to listen to, like, a Lego reviewer while I'm doing that. I'm going to listen to a good old PKA podcast or some Bill Simmons. Like, those are my two things that I probably listen to the most there. Play some basketball, play some Call of Duty, stream on Twitch, whatever. Like, I don't know. To me, it's partly a time equation. It's partly like an emotional thing. And for a lot of reasons, the answer is no, though. I don't seek it out. MandRproductions says, do you see Lego releasing any Bad Batch sets because there are so many set opportunities? TK Trooper Battle Pack, that would have been fire. Imperial Attack Shuttle, and the I assume the gray color also would have been fire. Love the content. Thank you. Yeah, man. I mean, couple fire ideas there. My biggest miss from Bad Batch, I thought it was a Charles Barkley guarantee. That we would get Republic Commandos once they showed up in the Bad Batch, and it just never happened. It's one of those things where it's a less popular show. It's not like the Clone Wars or maybe even like one of the movies like The Force Awakens where they can still make sets of it 10 years later. Like, they could make Bad Batch. They can make anything from anything at any time. That is clear to me. But of all the options that are out there, Bad Batch is really low on the totem pole. And as much as I love it, I think it's highly, highly unlikely because they only ever did, what, 2 sets to begin with? One was the Bad Batch Shuttle and then the Justifier, which was a big flop because they fundamentally misunderstood what a Cad Bane's ship as a set should be. That just didn't work. Think about this. Since they did the Justifier at $170, all of the cool sets that we've gotten that we've waited forever for, like the Turbo Tank, the ATTE, the Republic Gunship, and the MTT, like all of those have been cheaper than Cad Bane's Justifier. Imagine if they put in the same amount of stuff as Cad Bane's Justifier. But obviously that set flopped, and now they're probably scared to even touch that same bar again. That's kind of the way that I'm viewing it. Outside of the Dark Side Millennium Falcon, obviously that's 180. But I think it's highly unlikely we'll see more Bad Batch stuff, save for maybe a one-off at some point, because of how big of a flop the Justifier seemed to have been. Next, from Strub or something, he says, have you ever considered getting into Hot Toys or collecting 1/6 scale figures in general? It seems right up your alley as the figures are in most cases completely screen accurate and have lots of display value. So this is kind of a misnomer that I see out there. It's like, well, Ryan, why don't you just collect Black Series? Why don't you just buy the $300 Hot Toy figure instead of the Lego figure? You would be so satisfied by that. And real quick, shout out to Mike who actually gifted me this 501st one. But yeah, I've got a couple of them here with the 501st Trooper and the Commander Cody. I think this one's from Hot Toys. This one is from Sideshow. And people either don't understand or they just pretend to not understand that I collect Lego. I don't collect Black Series. I don't collect Hot Toys. And I want good Lego figures. I don't just want a good version of Commander Cody from any like random company. I want the good Lego one because that's what I've been into for 20 years. We all like Lego, that's why we collect it. Or there's like this Darth Maul, these are the 3 that I have. This one has pupils, so therefore I shouldn't care that the Lego one doesn't have pupils, because I already have pupils on my big Hot Toys one. Well, no, it doesn't fill the same void, it's not the point. And I have gone down the rather lengthy rabbit hole that was collecting Black Series, and it was fun, it filled a void for a while, but it still doesn't replace, like, I've always wanted a good Lego Galactic Marine, a good Lego Commander Bakara. Oh, shoot. And it doesn't matter to me if a good Black Series or Hot Toys exists, because that's not what I'm interested in. That's not what I'm trying to collect here. I want good Lego versions. So it's not about like having every scratch and thing correct on Commander Cody. Like that's another thing people will use as a straw man argument. But the fact is Lego can make a good Lego-fied version of figures. Commander Cody's a bad example because he's actually one of the better clones that they've made recently. But maybe Bakara is a better example, right? Where it's like Lego can make a better version of this very, 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 very easily. And I could just go buy the Black Series Commander Bly, but that doesn't fix the fact that the Lego one sucks, and that's what I'm collecting. So yeah, I've gotten into it, I've been down the rabbit holes, and it's not the same. It's not why I'm collecting the Lego. Sabaz says, with the rumored midi-scale AT-AT proving that the midi-scale sub-theme isn't just for starships, what non-starship midi-scale set would you love to see? And if you haven't heard, I haven't even made a rumor video of the 2026 like new rumors yet, because I've been so busy doing all of the reviews. I will soon, but I've just been so swamped with getting all the reviews done for you guys that I just haven't had the time in the day to like sit down and record for an hour. But there is supposedly a $60 18 plus AT-AT coming in January of next year, and that would of course indicate it would end up being a MIDI scale set. And with the current sub theme called the Starship Collection, this obviously breaks that mold, and it could be a case like the Dark Trooper, where Lego said with the helmet collection, we're only going to do helmets, we're not going to do droids, it's not going to happen. And people are like, we'll do C-3PO, and they're like, no droids, helmets only. For some reason, like they wouldn't do Grievous either, right, for that same rationale. But with the Dark Trooper, they broke the mold and they're like, we're going to do this just because it's cool. They said just because it's cool. It's what they said. And they were right. It is cool. And that's why people want them to do General Grievous and C-3PO as a helmet style set. It's the same thing. And the AT-AT might end up being that sort of thing for the Starship Collection, or what should have always been called MIDI scale like it was back in the day. And that's why I hated the name when they brought it back, because Starship just felt so limiting. I'm glad that it doesn't seem to be so limiting, but they're either going to leave the name off the box, which would kind of suck. Maybe it will be a separate sub collection of MIDI scales. So you'd have Starship and Vehicle. So with that in mind, I've got a few that I'd love to see, like Jabba's Sail Barge would be a fantastic vehicle MIDI scale set. I would love to say something like a clone turbo tank, but really the build they put out this year is startlingly close to MIDI scale. It's crazy. A Sandcrawler. I bet a Sandcrawler comes as part of this scale at some point as well. That's another one that would be a slam dunk for them. I'm just going to go with those couple of original trilogy ones for now, because I think they're like guarantees for Lego to make if they are going to seriously do more vehicle MIDI scale sets. But yeah, the AT-AT kind of breaking through that barrier is nice to see. Next from Zachary says, I'm assuming you've seen the leaked pricing for 2026, which I'll put up on screen here. Do you think these sets appearing to revert back to more reasonable prices are already a response to the reception of the August wave? That is not the case at all. These sets would have been priced, designed, built, finished maybe months ago, and likely they started the process and really knew what they were making a year ago at this point. So there's no chance that these lower price sets are a response to people saying the August wave is overpriced. The reality is the January wave historically compared to the summer wave is always the cheaper wave. They always release the cheaper stuff, battle packs, micro fighters, smaller little play sets in January, and then they would follow it up in the summer with the much more cool, like bigger, expensive sets like a Millennium Falcon, like a Republic frigate. So that is kind of the norm. This is certainly not a reaction to what we are seeing people complain about with the summer lineup and its prices. And it's also worth knowing that just because the price of something is low, like for example, there's supposed to be a $10 Mandalorian speeder. Just because it's $10 doesn't mean it's worth $10. It could be a $6 set that they've priced at $10, much like with the summer sets where it's really obvious at the bigger scales that maybe a $120 set like the Turbo Tank has been way overpriced to $160, and same for the MTT. They're basically $120 sets pretending to be $160 sets, and so even though the prices are lower for January, it doesn't necessarily mean they're a better value or anything. They could still be way overpriced percentage-wise, but the dollar amount, of course, is going to be much lower. Philip Alexander says, is there any precedent for Lego adjusting the price after the launch of a set? If no one buys these $45 battle packs, do you think they might lower the pricing? Just wishful thinking here, but I would love to hear if you think this could happen. So as far as the MSRP retail price, to my knowledge, they have not lowered prices before. I think there was a case with the Eiffel Tower, maybe, where they originally did a press release for the set and said it was supposed to be $630, and then they put it on the website for $680, and then people complained about that, so they put it back to $630. I'm pretty sure it was something like that with the Eiffel Tower. That's the only example I can think about, but that is a very different situation to what we are seeing this summer with the prices just being simply out of hand, not that they had like a pricing error or kind of mixed messaging there. Their messaging is very clear. The prices are $160. The prices are $55, right? Or $45. They're not changing that. So to my knowledge, in the way that you are hoping you would see the prices go down, no. Now, what could happen, of course, is these sets sell so poorly that the sales are incredible. And we have seen this from time to time. For example, the Black Panther bust was a set that I think on Lego.com was 30 or 40% off, basically eternally. And Lego.com doesn't put things on sale eternally like that. That Black Panther bust was eternally on sale. I think it's unlikely to see that sort of thing on Lego.com with these particular sets still, but it's also worth noting that stores like Target exist, and a set like Moff Gideon versus Paz Vizsla, that battle set, that's a $40 $40 set, and I think it's a fairly okay value for $40. They have been selling it as cheap as $13 because just nobody was buying them, I guess. I don't know why else they would sell them that cheap, but they've been discounted to like $23, and then they dropped down even further to like $18 and then $13, I think was like the lowest price someone sent me a picture of on shelf during one of their Target Circle deals. Like insanely cheap. Target has to be losing money on that, but they sell them that cheap. So there's a chance with a lot of these summer sets, if like a lot of people have said, they don't buy them, they hold out, that we could see 40% discounts pretty easily. 20% I still don't think is good enough. 20% is what the retail price should have been, and then you have to wait for 20 more percent. So you really are looking for about 40% off there, which is definitely possible. It's just going to take a lot of community patience and willpower. But yeah, I think some deals may come next summer with a lot of these sets. The Moff Gideon set, for example, is a set that came out last summer, and we're seeing those deals now. So you might have to wait a while, but if you want the prices to come down significantly, that's what the answer is going to have to be, I guess. JFD says, do you have any must display sets in your collection? I know you sometimes rotate out what you have in your background, but is there anything you would never rotate out? I think the Darth Maul and New York Yoda are like such must keeps on display. They're too cool to just not have back there. I mean, I could have them in another shelf, but I love that they're able to be appreciated by other people just because of how cool they are. So there's other stuff I do wish I had back there. Like I've got my entire rare shelf on the other side of me that y'all never really get to see. Like that's where all the real cool stuff is to me. But as far as like for videos, just for like a coolness and uniqueness of my background factor, having that Darth Maul and having that Yoda, they got to stay. Also, I would say the File First Battle Pack, the signed Jedi Bob Starfighter, and my signed Super Star Destroyer also probably must keep on displays for me. But most of the other sets, I like a lot of what I have on display. Obviously, that's why I put it on display. But I could be swayed to like switch it out for something else from time to time. Cobalt Commando says, will you be army building the $50 battle pack, and do you support / recommend a boycott? I definitely would support and recommend a boycott. $45 battle packs are out of hand. And no, I won't be army building the $50 battle pack. I haven't even army built the $30 battle packs or the $20 battle packs from Lego Star Wars recently because I think the clones are bad to begin with. Now the price is way out of hand. Like both things have gone awry. The last clone troopers I army built was the summer of 2022's 2 12th troopers, and those I think are some of the worst clones they've ever made, except I went and replaced the helmets so that I could sleep well at night. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even army built those because I think they look so horrible. So I certainly will not be army building the 327th troopers, which is a shame because like the pauldron is cool and like the idea that's there is cool. And we're in an era where like if they were making good clones, even if the price was $45, I would buy the crap out of those battle packs. Again, I bought 100 plus of the File First one that was double the price it should have been. I could be swayed if the quality was there to pay whatever they want. But the quality's not there. So I bought the one that I did, I reviewed it, and bar a miracle of them fixing the designs on the figures and fixing the helmets, I'm not buying more. That's it. That's my one. I think whenever I get around to doing another Clone Army video, it'll be very telling that I only have like one set's worth of each type of clone trooper from like 2023 onward, when they've done so many different types that you would think 5 years ago I would have been all over. And it's just like, well, no. I can't support it. Master of the Star says, what trooper do you want LEGO to make next now that we have the Marines and 327th? You can also include troopers that aren't clones. The trooper I want LEGO to make is the Scuba Trooper from the Clone Wars. That is a fire one. Actually, that would be fire because it would be really hard for them to mess up because they'd have to make a unique helmet mold, and the print I don't think would be too complex or require too many yellow squares for them to get right. So I think I could get behind a little Scuba Trooper action because that would be a fun one. But my general philosophy on clone troopers right now is like, you know, when a kid does something bad and you tell them to go in their room for timeout and come out when they realize what they did was wrong. That's Lego Clone Troopers for me. I don't want them to make another Clone Trooper until they can actually do it right. Like deep down, if you ask me, like, would I rather have like the Slop Trooper or would I rather have nothing? I think I would rather have nothing, and I have a good reason why. It's because if they haven't released it yet, I still have hope that they would release a good version of the figure. Because every time there's a rumor, I'm like, oh, maybe they'll be better, maybe they'll be better, maybe they'll be better, and they never are. But the hope is still there. There's that twinkle. It's starting to fade quite significantly, but there's a twinkle of hope that one day, but probably not soon. Bricksbit says, do you think battle packs will come to an end soon? Definitely not. I think there's still a lot of mileage left in battle packs, but I think the era of super battle packs may come to a very quick end. I don't feel like they can do it the right way. I think we've had 4 super battle packs at this point, and there's only one of them that I feel like is a truly fair value for what they are supposed to be, which is 2 battle packs and 1. So unless they figure out that formula, I think super battle packs will go by the wayside because I don't think the sales are going to be there. Like, you just don't have people like me coming in and buying 100 327th battle pack. I know, like I've said many times, I'm a very extreme example, but let's say I was 12 years old right now and I was looking at what I could buy. Like personally, I don't think I'd be buying 3 of the 327th battle packs. I might buy 1, but there you've lost 2 sales, right? And you just extrapolate that out over and over again across however many people would be in the same boat. And think about how much less sales they would have on the 327th compared to the 501st or former battle packs that were even cheaper. Like I think the super battle pack is going to be out very quickly, which sucks because I thought it was the best concept. Like I think there's a thumbnail of mine that's like the best concept question mark, because it could be, but they've ruined it. Frankly, they have used it for greed instead of good, and so I think that will ultimately be the death of the Super Battle Pack. Regular Battle Packs will continue to exist forever, probably, like things like the Night Trooper and everything. Like, there's other things that aren't Clone Troopers that can still do good as Battle Packs, too, because they don't have the same quality issues, so there's that. Meta Knight says, do you think the Playscale Slave 1 really looks like 700 pieces? It's only moderately larger than Obi-Wan Starfighter, which is less than 300 pieces. It looks more like 500 pieces to me. Someone should count them up and make sure LEGO ain't lying about their piece count or something. So, I've seen people say this. There's no way LEGO is lying about their piece counts. There are times when I think they've been off by a couple on some way older sets, but certainly today with all the computers and things that they use for everything, I don't think their piece counts are off. Plus, if you go to the back of any instruction manual, there's a complete parts list. It's all there. Like, you can match it up as you go 1 to 1 and then count all the pieces if you really wanted to. Like, they have no way of fibbing with the part count, in my opinion. So I don't think that's happening, but it is crazy how small 700 pieces is these days. Like, if you consider the 2006 Jabba Sail Barge was 781 pieces, and think about how many of those pieces are in the Sarlacc Pit and the Desert Skip and all of the extra minifigs that that set has. I bet the Slave 1 build and that Sail Barge build are within 25 or so pieces of one another, and the size difference is startling. This might be one of the best examples I've ever shown, showing how small pieces have gotten just on average as we've gone throughout the years here. Another example you could look at is the original Jango Fett Slave 1, which is 358 pieces, so a little more than half the piece count of the new one, but it's like twice the size. It's insane how small pieces have gotten, and it's not necessarily a bad thing in all cases. It's just when you look at the value of what you're getting per the piece count and all that stuff, it makes it really, really, really muddy. Jack says, what happened to the LEGO NBA line, and could it ever return? I'd buy an all-star CMF series. And I think with the Nike LEGO partnership, it's definitely going to be on the table, because Nike would have a lot of sway with something like that, to have a bunch of the players into something like that, or I guess they'd have to sign with the NBA Players Association or something. I'm sure there's something there that could get that to happen, especially with Nike now involved with LEGO. So I would say it's on the table at some point in the future without knowing anything, obviously. I don't know why that whole LEGO sports thing originally came to an end, but that was also like the time when LEGO was basically going broke, so that probably also had something to do with it. But yeah, hopefully that Nike partnership will end up creating some like cool LEGO NBA figures. And then finally from Starlin, he says, MandR, when is the new house tour? Well, it's probably going to be a while because I barely started to move in, but if you are looking for a house tour of my current house before I move out, there is one. I just didn't make it. It's actually on Duckbricks' YouTube channel. He came over with Ethan the Artisan and Mini Superheroes Today, and we did like a little impromptu house tour, collection tour. So if you wanted to have an idea of what the final form of this current house was, basically, that's a great video for that. Otherwise, I've already started to move stuff out of here, so I'm not making another house tour of this house. I'll make a house tour when I get moved over to the new house completely. But I did promise I'd give you a preview of what I've got going on over there. So I'll take a ride over there and I'll show you what I've started on. So this is what's going to end up being my streaming / gaming room here. And we've got the dual monitor set up, same monitors that I had at my other house, except I bought a new desk, bought a Magnus Pro XL, like standing desk, and it has made my life way better, especially for Lego building. This desk is actually fantastic as well, so I'll be able to stream Lego building from this desk, on top of the obvious use for video game stuff, of course, so it's got all those bells and whistles. But yeah, I got some lighting. I also bought the light strip that came with the desk, but I haven't figured out how to make it change colors and things yet, so it's just kind of there, but it's some good ambiance. I want to add a TV above here, because that means people could like hang out here. My buddy Jared thinks I should get a microphone so they can also like talk to the stream if I'm streaming and just be like an extra voice or something, I don't know. And then it hasn't been hung up yet, but I found this at IKEA. It's just like a shoe rack, and I thought it'd be cool to have in the background for like a streamer setup. I don't know. So yeah, it's got like the metal thing. Have to hook it up into the wall. Probably gonna find a good solid spot in the wall so it doesn't just rip out. And then with this blank wall space, we were thinking to do like an MandR LED logo and maybe something else there. It just kind of depends on what fits. And then over here, we've got a pretty big blank wall that's going to probably be a couple of Billy bookshelves with some Legos on display or something. That's kind of what it feels like this space here would be good for. But yeah, this is the first room that we've really done anything in. That was just an idea, so we're gonna be playing around with a lot of things, I think, there. I'm otherwise waiting to get some new carpet because I thought it would be nice, and this carpet's not the most comfortable. It's got some wrinkles in it, and I figured if I'm moving into a new place, which I hope to be in longer than I was the last one, I may as well have fresh carpet that's only been mine. So let's go back to the office or studio. Anyway, back to the studio, and hey, maybe once I soundproof this room a little bit because it's so echoey, I want to talk quiet, I could do an Ask MandR in here. It would be a pretty easy thing to set up and do. Watching 2 Lego reviews at once actually goes pretty hard. This is awesome. Make those my like new computer backgrounds. Dang. Too bad the audio's not on. That would actually be awful. And that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. If you have a question or topic for next week's episode, drop in the comments section below. You can check out more Lego Star Wars content on the end screen now. See ya.